We are live.
Good morning.
Hello, everybody.
How the heck is it going?
Welcome to another splendiferous episode of Good Morning Source Gaming. Back when we started this, I sort of made like a weird internal note to myself that I would, try to enjoy like a different breakfast thing every single episode, which is not. I have not kept up with that at all. Like, I think I did, like, the first 3 episodes, and I've just been on and off drinking coffee during these. Today I decided to try something different, because Dunkin' Donuts now has their Christmas flavors in, and I'm drinking a eggnog latte. And
it's still November,
and it's sickening. I'm not.
That was my thought as well. I didn't want to get into a huge debate about like slow your roll there, Duncan. Like calm down. It's still November.
It's okay. They still have pumpkin though. It's all evened out. Like
what is this weird nexus of holiday?
The spirit of Spookvember is like in effect, while also bringing in Christmas being way too early. Where's the Black Friday flavors? Like.
Oh no!
I
like
want my trample people latte.
5 a.m. Monster Energy drink.
Oh god,
macchiato.
Have you guys ever done Black Friday?
Twice in my life.
My mom wouldn't let me. She said, "I'm afraid of you getting hurt."
I do what Mega 64 does, which is where they just kind of stay up all night and then they go at like some ungodly hour of the morning, like several hours after these stores open, because the thing about Black Fridays, everyone goes when they first open, but like it's not like any of the things that are on sale are gonna spontaneously not be there anymore.
No, it's true. Like I think Black Friday is one of the biggest gotcha schemes that retail has invented, because most of the sales, like at least in recent years, haven't been all that great.
Yeah,
and it's all stuff that's still going to be there. Yeah, like by the time noon rolls around.
That's why I absolutely love their Black Friday podcast, because it's always at like 6 a.m. and they're just like, "Yep, we just bought this 4K OLED TV. It was just sitting there. Bought a new PlayStation, you know."
It's the way to get it done.
Yeah, it's really comfy. But yes, welcome to another Good Morning Source Gaming. We took a break last week so we could play some Luigi's Mansion 3 Scare Scraper. And
how was that?
It's fantastic. But I guess we'll go into that when we start talking about games that we played this week. But for now, introductions. It is I, Colin, as their unfortunately usually there is. I butchered that. Let's move on. It's the eggnog. It's setting in. I can't speak. Phantom, he's here. How are you doing?
I'm Phantom Z2. I've been absent for like several Good Morning Source Gaming. I'm still absent in the description of this Good Morning Source Gaming for some reason.
Yeah,
I won't complain about that.
I have to update it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bud.
It's not Colin's fault. He was drinking eggnog.
Yeah, I was drinking eggnog. I've just been on an eggnog binge for about 12 hours now.
Jesus Christ.
I feel like if anyone... Oh, God, the aftertaste. Just like that raw... Eggnog's gross. Don't
What?
drink eggnog.
Why are you drinking?
What do you mean eggnog's gross? Eggnog is delicious. I love eggnog.
I wanted to know what eggnog mixed with coffee and milk tasted like.
Oh, you're drinking... That's right, you're drinking...
Yeah, it's like a... Yeah, alright. And then we have our special guest, Dan from GameApartment 1C. And
shucks.
Go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us what you do.
Oh god, the pressure is on. What do I do?
Yeah.
I live and breathe. Because that's not an original comedy thing at all. So I do a stream over on Twitch that is partly, if not wholly, inspired by the Japanese television series GameCenter CX.
Yes.
With our assistant director Cinco, who is a wonderful treat to have on the stream to kind of keep things going, because they are definitely the more comedic of the two of us, which is a great opening to being on the show. But yeah, so we play through mostly retro games, trying to emulate GameCenter CX without stepping on copyright infringement as much as we can, despite wearing the same uniform and attire. But yeah, so we also try and splash in some educational segments because there's a whole generation of kids that don't necessarily know how Mario or Zelda got their start. So we kind of try and filter that in as much as we can to kind of also emulate some of the other big YouTubers and streamers out there, like Famicom Dojo, you folks, not just saying that because of present company, a couple other people. So we try and do our best, and hopefully people like it.
Yeah, I will be the first to admit I haven't kept up too much because I never have. It's not that I don't have time to watch streams. It's more like, I don't know. It's like it's very like inopportune sometimes to watch. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry.
No, but no, it's not your fault. It's just like
right.
I'll be cooking dinner and it's like, oh. But I do go back and I watch the VODs. And
right on.
Yeah,
much appreciated.
Yeah, which I mean, as we've said, this is I believe you say on your Twitch channel it's both a homage and a parody of GameCenter CX.
Yes,
and
so that keeps the lawyers off our back.
And GameCenter CX is one of the best. Not only do I think it's one of the best game related pieces of media, I think it's just one of the best shows ever.
God, it's so well done.
It's this very, very wholesome, very comfy, very groundbreaking television show that I feel like you could even show people who don't play video games, and they would understand and they would like enjoy, outside of having to read subtitles, because I know there are some people who have a stipulation against that. Which, and if you're in the audience right now and you're listening and you don't know what GameCenter CX is, it is a show where traditional theater comedian Shinya Arano plays a bunch of old video games, and he kind of marathons through them. And they basically take the best parts of him playing through it, and they compile it into like a 1 hour, almost variety show, because there's other segments that are spliced in to kind of break up the monotony. And this is a show that started in 2003. So,
yeah, like predating most of YouTube's real big review channels and all of that.
Yeah, and it's pretty much like the Let's Play format that most people are familiar with nowadays. But it was on national Japanese television. And it's got a rather sizable following. But it's hindered by the fact that if you want to watch it in the US, you're stuck with like borderline piracy, or buying a really like just an out of print kind of shoddy DVD of it.
And that's only gone up in price as time goes on, because I think people after the fact are realizing like this is the only way to watch these episodes. So now I gotta pay $160 for this DVD.
I mean, the show itself is like in like a weird legal gray area, because like I believe the story behind it is that I feel like if anyone watches a lot of anime, they're already familiar with like fan translators and all of these like super sketchy websites to watch fan translated like 360p high quality rips of like just aired episodes of anime with like shitty fonts for the subtitles. But GameCenter CX is weird because it's mostly been done by this one team at the Something Awful forums, and like they're in this area where, because the show isn't really syndicated in the US, I think it's been said that the production team in Japan is like okay with it.
Well, it's funny, to my understanding, one of the artists for the show that was like a fan of it and ended up sending in these pieces of fan art. Nina Matsumoto, who goes by I think Space Coyote on Twitter,
Yeah.
Who's done a lot of really amazing art, like is very big in comics, has done designs for Fangamer, and I think she was like one of the bigger artists for the Simpsons comic when it was still going. But she actually does the artwork that's in the DVD.
Yeah.
And I think she was helping to translate, but I mean, that would make sense if she like had gone to the team and said like, "Hey, like we've been fan translating it because it hasn't been picked up over here." And imagine them going like, "Yeah, that's fine."
Yeah, I mean, because I think probably one of the best episodes of the show is GameCenter CX in US.
Oh, God, so good.
where Arano and crew go to San Francisco and they have like a big Western meetup, and it's, I mean, you can just tell it's people who just semi-illegally watch things.
Yeah,
Because especially because in the context of that episode, the DVD had just come out.
Oh, I don't even think the DVD was out by that point.
Yeah. Because they were like, it was on Kotaku and like Sky TV, whatever Sky TV is.
Because I think it had just wrapped up with the episodes that they were premiering on Kotaku, and they were like, "Hey, like as a celebration, Arino's going to come over to the United States." So yeah, like all the big people in the fan community at that time. I always mess up his last name, but he's one part of Retronauts, and he had I think the big GameCenter CX website at the time of just going through every single episode and detailing what actually goes on. It was like Ray Barnholt or something like that. He's actually in the special. He's wearing the blue uniform.
Yeah, he's the guy he has the business cards and everything. It's really cute.
So like he was there. There's a couple other like famous people from the Something Awful forums that we're helping to translate that are also there. And you can kind of see them in the supplemental material on the actual Japanese DVD. But yeah, like it's pretty sizable crowd, like considering.
Yeah.
Like I think they stuffed a couple hundred people into that tiny little arcade.
I love how the source of contention was like, is 5 people gonna show up? Like, was this worth it? Like they were unsure, like what the size of the following in the US was. And yeah, like I don't know. There's just it's this combination of Arano being genuinely funny, like just not because he's this like classically trained comedian, part of the like a comedy duo. The comedy duo's name is like Yoiko or Yoko or something.
Yeah. I think it's supposed to like translate to Child's Play. Is the name of their duo?
I forget his sidekick's name. Is it? I don't remember.
Hamayuchi or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, because they're famous for being on a lot of Japanese variety shows, especially Downtown, where they would play Arino and not Arino, Amuro and Char from Mobile Suit Gundam, because they're both very outspoken nerds and gamers and anime lovers, so a lot of their comedy bits were surrounding that whole topic, and like different children's toys and stuff like that, and they really would ham it up. But yeah, like he's just a charming guy. He's not the kind of gamer that gets like super frustrated or really angry. Like he really takes his failures in stride, and he's the first one to admit that he's not good at things. Like some of my favorite episodes are him having to play a game that he's hopeless at. Especially Mighty Bomb Jack, I think, stands out the most, where he's just terrible at it, and it's just repeated attempts. Because the other thing is that, and Colin was saying earlier, most of these playthroughs, it's an entire day of filming.
Yeah, so it's like 12, 15 hours.
Yeah,
it's
and
ridiculous.
He's just sitting there doing that, and they'll take breaks for meals and bathroom stuff, and a couple other like segments that they do throughout the filming for that day. But he's just sitting there and playing through that game, and somehow manages to maintain his sanity and keep a grin on his face despite all of the horrific odds. I mean. And it's also a treat to watch because he'll be really bad at certain games where you're just like, what the heck? Like,
but then he'll be like amazing at at just random things, like with the Wrecking Crew episode where he's just like powering through it, or Ocarina of Time, where he was like oddly good at Ocarina of Time.
Because he's like really good at puzzle games and terrible at everything else. It still boggles my mind. Spoiler alert. He's really freaking good at Ninja Gaiden. but he is piss poor at Mario 3, and like like I don't get it. Like what, like does he have like a selective gaming disorder, or or like was it just the location where he was playing the games at? I can't tell.
That's the funny thing, because that has led to discussion I've seen of people wondering if like certain episodes are sabotaged by certain aspects. Like there's a lot of discussion about if the little LCD TV he uses in like some of the middle seasons were like not just had like such a ridiculous amount of like input latency on them that like he just had no choice but like to mess up a lot of the time. Because it's so weird, because like that show is like it's very popular in Japan, and
to this day still.
Yeah, but like you can tell the production is just like 15 people in an office.
Yeah, and that was made out of necessity. Like, because when it originally started, it was supposed to be a short-term documentary about different video game companies.
Yeah.
So the first season has very little to do with the challenge aspect.
Yeah.
I think the first episode they did was either Capcom or Pokemon.
No, the first episode was unless there was something before, like the actual like the canonically first episode, but it's like, them at Konami.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So they do like the whole history of Konami, and they're featuring some of the bigger games that they've released back on the Famicom.
Oh no, I'm wrong, because the first episode's Takeshi's Challenge.
Oh, then I guess it was Taito.
It was Taito. Oh, I forgot. The second episode is Konami, because they do he interviews Kojima, and then he does he plays Front Mission.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
Whatever the giant Xbox controller game is.
Oh no, that was the Capcom episode, because he plays a Steel Battalion for that. I think the Konami one is he plays like 3 different Konami games. I think he plays like ER Kung Fu, Track and Field, and then there's a third game that he has to get through.
As you can tell, these early episodes are not super memorable. They're
right.
Like, they're very dry developer interviews that are still pretty good. They're really fascinating, but they're like barely held together. And then there was these segments where he plays through a game, and those are amazing.
Yeah.
And,
it got picked up for a second season because they were like, hey, we're really interested in seeing more about the games industry. Like, this was a lot of fun to see somebody go out and talk to these developers. What are you guys interested in trying to make this happen? And I think Tsuyoshi Kan, who's like the producer of the show, and was made the narrator out of necessity because they couldn't afford an actual voice actor or like personality. So it was a cost saving measure. And he was like, we really do want to do a second season. But like, are there any conditions or anything like that? And I think the Fuji TV that was airing the episodes was like, we wanted to have a little bit more pep. Like, so can you figure something out? Like, we really like the parts where Arino was playing through a game.
Yeah.
Maybe we can make that the main focus. And then from that point on, the purpose of the episode was just to put poor Arino up against an insurmountable game and watch him suffer. And over time, as the show's gone on, instead of having like celebrities on the show and stuff like that, like they'll occasionally bring developers on to interview. Like one of my favorite episodes is God rest his soul, Satoru Iwata comes onto the show and has an Iwata Asks with Arino. That's super, super charming and very, very delightful.
I think most people have seen that episode without knowing what GameCenter CX is. Because
that's the one that you showed me. You showed me that one.
Yeah, it's where they play balloon fight. Because they every documentary about Iwata has used clips like from that episode.
Yeah. It's just it's a great interview.
Yeah, it really is.
It says a lot because Arino isn't the best at interviewing, like especially in those early episodes. But like over time, the staff on the show has more or less become the cast, which is like such an interesting thing to me. The biggest profiles on the show outside of Arino himself, who is an established celebrity by the point of that show starting, cameraman Abe becomes like a show fixture, and he's just a retired delinquent that is a camera operator that loves bikes and has a lot of knowledge about the automotive industry. And then you've got the assistant directors that come on with each season that have their own unique personalities. And it's not scripted either, at least as far as I can tell. It's just you have these quirky individuals that come in to help. Like it's almost like watching like a shonen anime, because you get like these ADs that are, you know, either like super chill and show like their latent abilities at being very, very good at games. Like one of the early ADs is this Urakawa, who gained the nickname of Ace, because he would just like swoop in and play these games for Arino to get him caught up if he failed.
And it's funny because most of them are like really like awkward, kind of young.
Yep.
Like just like fresh out of school.
Yeah.
Like almost teenagers, but like they then grow into like these like legendary characters.
Yeah, like,
I think one of my favorite episodes. I think one of the best episodes of the show, bar none, is the jogging race episode.
Yes,
because that episode is just generally like it's like an actual like race. It's like an actual marathon. It might actually be worse because they have to keep restarting it. But like a gimmick of the episode is that ADs from past seasons just show up to surprise Arino. Like he's gonna be like, "Oh wow, I'm kind of busy, right? like I better stop what I'm doing to say hello to this random child that I used to work with."
If I remember right, in that episode too, since he's up on the actual power pad, like they usually try and like wrap some gimmick into the game where like they'll make him change into a costume or like an outfit. And I think it's Jogging Race where they make him put on like a like running shorts and a tank top and like a sweatband on his head. It's
and they keep wrapping his legs in like bandages because like the thing about that, like, because that game does like this really sadistic thing where when you fail you have to restart the whole thing, and if you don't know about Jogging Race, there's a mode where you basically run a marathon, like an actual like 15K or something.
It's something insane.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
And like it's crazy because you have to do it because it's a power pad game. You have to run in place basically to do this, but because it's a video game, they also have to put like obstacles and fail states. So like you can be theoretically like, I don't know, like 3 miles or whatever into this jogging race and then get screwed over, and you have to restart the entire thing.
Yeah.
Are there other people is it just you in the race, or are there other people in the race as well?
Well, it's an 8-bit NES game, so it's just you playing, and there's, you know, you're up against like NPCs.
Yeah, but like if you lose and start, do the NPCs still at their same place?
Oh no, like the whole game restarts.
Oh, okay.
Like you literally fail out of the race and you have to start from the starting line.
Yeah, okay. and it's
incredibly unforgiving.
Yeah, and there's many moments where they fail at like round 10 out of 15 or round 11 out of 15, and it's brutal. Like I am genuinely surprised they even went through with that episode.
Yeah. Again, the other thing is they don't use like any save states or anything like that. The sole purpose of the assistant director that is on the show is if Arino fails, they literally jump in, like somebody getting the ball on the tennis court, like if it hits the net, and are just got to quickly get him caught back up to speed. So, you know, if Arino fails at that round 10, it is up to that AD to get up there on that power pad, run the rest of that race until round 10, and then Arino takes over. So that way he can keep going.
It's brutal. It's a brutal episode. But it's one of the best. It's one of the best because it basically turns the show into an actual game show at that point. Like,
I'm trying to think of. They do like a fan appreciation event. I think it's one of the first live episodes that they do, technically speaking.
Yeah.
It's like the conclusion to Mighty Bomb Jack. It's actually the first episode of the series that I watched, and I thought, oh my god, every episode is like this, because they have him on stage and they have a live audience watching and cheering him on as he's playing through the final levels of Mighty Bomb Jack.
And they use that episode and the live event as like half the filler of the GameCenter CX movie, which I think will never be translated or localized because it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's unfortunately not that good. And then the other episode that stands out to me the most, it's such a treat is watching the Paul Rappa the Rapper episode.
Oh yeah, that's another like fantastic episode.
Yeah, because partway through they're like, all right, no, you're not feeling the rhythm, you're not feeling the beat, so we're gonna dress you up we're gonna dress you up in a way that we assume is what a rapper looks like. So here you go. And yeah, it's worth watching alone for Arino's poor reaction to it, but then also seeing a middle-aged man dressed that way playing Paul Rappa the Rapper.
It's funny because like I think that's actually probably one of the episodes where he's at a disadvantage, and I don't even think it's necessarily his fault because input delay because Parappa is like that game is ridiculous with its like input timing.
Yeah, it's a game you cannot emulate. You have to play it on the original hardware, otherwise you're screwed.
And even then, like the entire game is in English, and I think it's been proven that even though English is like a second language in Japan, Arino is not very fluent in it.
Nope.
So
not at all.
So it's which leads to really funny moments in the US episode where the only English phrase he learns is "I'm very tired after a long trip."
Yeah,
which is fucking hilarious.
I think the best takeaway from the the USA special is they go to like some famous restaurant on the boardwalk in San Francisco. And they're getting like all this fancy seafood, and there's like this huge spread of a meal. And then immediately after they show the footage from that, it's Arino and then AD Inako Max sitting there like at an In-N-Out burger. And Arino just looks at me, he's like, "Hey, that meal we had yesterday, that was all right. Yeah, we had a lot of steak and seafood. It was okay. I really didn't think it was as good as we had hyped it up to be. But this burger, this is the best food I've ever had." like you can see the look of dejection on poor Inako Max's face. It's just like, you know how much money we spent on that meal? Like this was nothing. Like this is
that's special. I like there's I think like the best way I can like I'm trying to think of the word
describe,
not describe, but like just tell someone to get into GameCenter CX.
Promote, advertise.
No, don't worry, it's the eggnog kicking in. But it would have to be watch an episode with a game you really like, which is what I did. My first episode of GameCenter CX was Mario Land.
Nice,
because
that's such a good episode,
and it's a good episode too. Yeah, it was like perfect because it's like a really short game. Yeah, it's like semi easy. And it's Mario.
Yeah, comedy's very on point in that episode too, considering.
Yeah, and the Game Center and CX in US episode documentary special. Don't they call them documentaries?
I think so.
Yeah,
because they're just like, hey, like here's our trip doc that we did, because they take a couple overseas trips.
Yeah, I don't want to try to spoil too much from some of these episodes, because I think if you go into them blind, then you really get like encapsulated by like how magical some of these things happen, because like some wacky things happen that they just do, like that I think no one would expect. And it's funny because there's always that stereotype that like Japanese TV is like very wacky and very off the wall. And it's funny because Game Center CX is not. It's surprisingly humble and very down to earth, which is why when we talk about its US syndication, what problems that brought.
Yeah, it really takes away a lot of the tone, because I mean there are admittedly a lot of the charm for me for Game Center CX comes from how serious and hard boiled a lot of the narration is. Like they just pick the best soundtrack for episodes, so you get like these weird samples from Pirates of the Caribbean, but also from oh gosh, what is the other movie? Not Solomon's Key, that's a video game. King Solomon's Mine. I think like they pull a lot of the soundtrack from that movie for some reason, but they always have these tense moments where Arino does something really dumb in the game, and then Khan will narrate like, And then Arino didn't expect that he would be plunged into gaming hell. And it's like, oh shit! Like that's where you take the commercial break. God damn!
And then it shows like Bonk tripping over like a rock or something. Like it's something.
Well, and then also like there's all this lore to the series too, like where Arino will play a famously difficult game. So they've even made songs for the show that reference this. But anytime he faces like bird enemies in retro games, because historically they are annoying and awful. So or dragons, like Arino just stumbles whenever facing against a video game dragon. So the narration will also kick into that and be like, "Oh, it's Arino's fated rival, a dragon." And then, of course, he'll die against it because he uses bad game.
But yeah, like it's this like really cute combination of like how like button up and serious the show is, and while also being like very humble and down to earth, but also incredibly slapdash together.
Yeah.
The one moment from the U.S. special I really love is when they go to the laundromat.
Yeah.
And it's the most ludicrous thing. I think out of any episode of that show, it is the most ludicrous thing to ever happen, because it is such a last minute, like, will cost no money to do. Just the idea of like, Arino, we're going to famous American gaming center, which is a laundromat, because sometimes they have arcade machines there.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And it's like, yeah, he plays a hacked version of Miss Pac-Man and like a Neo Geo cabinet, and then they use a washing machine, and it's so fucking bizarre.
Because their idea is that like, oh, we have to use the laundromat in order to be able to play these games. So like, hey, Inago Max, put your shirt in the laundry.
It's like the closest GameCenter CX has ever gotten to like an episode of Jackass or something, and like you can just tell like the embarrassment on Arino's face, because he understands how ridiculous it is to have a filming crew of all these random Japanese men, while like just random people are just trying to wash their clothes in the background.
Yeah, it's very awkward to watch.
It's so good. It's so fantastic.
But isn't there also like GameCenter on, what was it, Nintendo's Japanese YouTube?
Yes, that's the other thing that
they call it DX, I think.
Yeah, they have like they're in cahoots with Nintendo. And they have been for a long time.
Yeah.
Because they were making specials for games for the Virtual Console back in the Wii days, and the 3DS days, and the Wii U days.
Yeah, they have one for Ultra Smash.
Yeah, and then they do they have done these specials where they've played newer games. There's a very cute episode where Arino has to take on like a bunch of kids in NES Remix.
It's kids from the GameCenter CX movie.
Yeah.
They have them on and they play through NES Remix. It's super adorable because Arino is like laughing like a villain whenever he beats them in a challenge. Because that's also one of the things that's really charming about Arino. Any episode where he plays games against children, he is merciless. Yeah. So like if he wins, he just laughs at them in their face. Like even like the one of the episodes in the first season, like he goes to the Pokemon Company and interviews them. But for the arcade trip portion of the show, he goes to a Pokemon tournament that is it's nothing but children. There are no other adults there, and he goes in with a Pokemon team and just destroys these children. Like, and it's just like, you terrible monster! Why would you do this?
I think one of my favorite Arino reaction images. I know the episode it's from too. I forget specifically. I just remember seeing the episode. Is the one where like he beats some little girl at some arcade game, and she's like, "Wow," and he's like, "You're damn right, wow." Oh, it's so good. It's so fantastic.
If I remember right, I'm pretty sure the Something Awful forum that originally started posting the episodes has a best of list. Like, hey, if you're trying to get into the series, like these are the episodes we recommend.
Yeah, and that includes stuff like Parappa and Tokimeki Memorial, which is such a good episode.
Such a weird episode. And then they have like other little bits of info there too, like the soundtracks that's used for the show, different segments. I would say if people have not watched the show before, yeah, definitely jumping off your recommendation of, find a game in there that you really, really like and watch that episode, because chances are that's going to be your hook. If not that, and if you really want to get blown away by how good Game Center CX is, watch the Live and Budokan special.
Oh, yes.
Because like that first challenge with Punch Out is one of the most high tension things that I've ever watched. Because it feels like you're watching a literal boxing match.
That's like the unfortunate thing too, is that is because this kind of also goes into the syndication, which is like there's a lot of show. There's like 23, 24 seasons, because it's been going since 2003, and like that's already an undertaking if someone were to localize it for the US. But furthermore, if you have to add all the specials to it, and it's unfortunate because the specials are amazing. They are some of the highlights, and it's a shame because I feel like some of the specials, like the one that immediately comes to mind is the Mario Maker special.
Yeah.
The second one, not the first one where he's with Miyamoto, even though that one's pretty good too. But the second one where they literally just pooled random Mario Maker levels from like across the world on Twitter and everything. And like they had him play through like 100 Mario Maker levels, and it's fantastic. And like that
I was gonna say, is that the same special where they had international fans like had submitted levels?
Yeah.
And they had like some guy from Scotland that was like, "Hey, really like the show. If you play my challenge, I'll send you some scotch."
Yeah, and they do it.
Yeah. They like, this guy sent them a bottle of scotch, and Arno drank it on an episode. It was, like, it's that kind of stuff that happens, and I think can only happen on a show like Game Center CX, where it just, if people get so involved with things, like whenever they do live specials like that, they usually set up fax machines where people can submit in like, "Hey, like do this, do that," with the challenge. Like famously, like one of the biggest wins I think Arino's had is they do like a Christmas special.
Quest of Key.
Yeah, which like a bunch of people like start sending in faxes for that, and they end up being charming and very funny on themselves. So yeah, like people being able to interact like that with the show really says a lot about how good it is.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's really great. And as Phantom brought up before, they're still doing stuff with Nintendo. If you have a Switch with a Japanese account, you'll notice in the news section they just have Arno playing like Minecraft and Undertale and like all these random eShop games and stuff. And
if I remember right, Minecraft got a lot of its popularity from those segments. If I'm remembering right, like him and Hamaguchi would play them, and it just became so endearing for a lot of people. They're like, "Oh, like this Minecraft game looks kind of fun."
Yeah, it's sold really well on the Switch in Japan because of those segments. And I feel like, as I was saying earlier, like I think if they really want to break into the US audience again, or at least test run what people like, if people do want to see these. Translate those. Get like someone ring up Nintendo and tell them to translate those Arino segments, because like
they could do that. Yeah,
they could, and they're short videos. They're not very long, and they're from what I've seen from fan translated like examples of it. They're just as entertaining as actual Game Center CX episodes.
Oh, definitely.
But then we talk about the US syndication.
Oh boy.
Which like I as we said earlier, it's a DVD. It's got like a bunch of random episodes on it. And I believe the copyright holders currently are they're like vice gripping that shit like hardcore. And they gave it a terrible name called Retro Game Master. Like thankfully you can watch it on YouTube. They decided to upload all the episodes on YouTube under a YouTube channel called Midnight Pulp, with these horrible clickbaity thumbnails and titles that do not reflect the quality of the show in the slightest.
Yeah.
Or the tone or anything. And I believe they also have the not great English dubbed narrator.
Yeah.
But if
That's a
you're very lazy and you don't want to jump into the you don't feel comfortable with like the legal loophole of trying to download or watch the fan translated episodes, which we won't say the websites, but they're very easy to Google. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
It's not hard to find. They have their own like websites. But yeah, if you want to watch it the safest way, there you go. But be warned, it's like not a great sampling of episodes, and segments are missing, and you have this terrible dub narration. But otherwise, it's a very, very safe way of getting into Game Center CX.
Yeah. I think before we went live, we were talking about it a little bit, and you said that it kind of looks like it was really trying but never hit its potential.
Yeah.
And I think the English dub or Kotaku release of Game Center CX is like having a 13-year-old kid, where you're just like, man, I see what you're trying to do there, but it ain't gonna happen.
It's so weird because it has like less personality and like less charm, and it feels even sloppier than what like a bunch of random dudes on Something Awful did.
Yeah.
It's
Very
so bizarre. So. Like it's strange.
And the collection of episodes too. Like I'm pretty sure it was that whatever they had the money to actually grab as far as licensing goes.
Yeah.
Because if I remember right, when they've said it a couple times on the actual show, they have to clear licensing and rights for them to show the actual game footage of Arino playing the games.
I know in some episodes, like I remember in the Castle of Illusion, like there's a giant like copyright Disney, copyright Sega in the corner the entire episode.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
It's like a big watermark almost. Like it's so huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so like the collection of games that we got in the West for the show is just so like games I hadn't really ever heard of.
Yeah.
Like Battle Golfer Yui, which is a golfing futuristic RPG for the Mega Drive.
Yeah.
Which is like a quirky, fun game that fits so in line with the show itself. But a lot of it is just lost because of that dub.
The most notable games are like Bonanza Brothers and Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, and
Bomberman? Was Bomberman on the DVD?
I
think so. Like the original TurboGrafx one.
Let me see. What do we got on here? So the actual list of episodes.
Because I know SOS is on there, and that's a deep cut. That's a
fantastic episode.
It's a good episode, but that's a deep cut.
Ninja Gaiden, Super Fantasy Zone.
Oh, Clock Tower.
Clock Tower's on there.
Yeah.
Solomon Ski. They showed the first 3 episodes of Mighty Bomb Jack.
Yeah.
Not the last episode. Mystery of Atlantis. SOS. Battle Golfer Yui. 53 Stations of the Tokaido. Wing of Medulla. Golden Axe. Shira and the Wanderer. And Ninja Gaiden 2. So like it's got some really good episodes on there, but then just these, like Wing of Medulla. Okay.
Like sleeper hits.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm trying to even think if there's an episode of Game Center CX that's not
bad.
Yeah, like most of them are in some way or another entertaining at least, and then if the challenges themselves are just kind of like, oh, okay, this is still fun, but nothing really to write home about. The segments in between end up being the best parts of the episode.
Yeah, really.
I mean, like because there's a couple in. Oh, they have like a really short season in season 9, and I think it's not Sonic the Hedgehog. What other game do they play? But they end up taking a trip to like a Moljonyaki candy store. And it's like charming because Arino and staff writer Kibe are like sharing the food off the grill like a romantic couple, just to be like silly. And it's all quiet and they're chewing, and then Arino just looks at Kibe and just like utters and breaks the silence like, "This is weird. Why are we doing this?"
I think like those the specials and like. When they go to the arcades and everything, those are fantastic. That could be its own show.
Yeah,
like a weird
definitely.
Michael Palin-esque like travel documentary series about going to different locations. I think my two favorite episodes. I mean, like, not my 2 favorite episodes, but 2 of my favorite episodes are the northernmost and southernmost arcade episodes.
Oh, those are so good.
Those are so comfy. I love the one where he goes to a LAN cafe in Vietnam and he's playing League of Legends and he has no idea what the fuck he's doing.
Oh man, yeah, the trip ones are really good.
It's so weird. He goes to a LAN cafe and he plays League of Legends and like Beachhead 2000, which is like complete opposite like ends of the spectrum in terms of video games you could play on a computer.
So I think it's the one where they go to the Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah,
where he plays like a bunch of weird French arcade games, and he's like wearing a beret the entire time. Like that's so stupid and charming. People should go watch it. It's so good. You've got a lot. You got a lot to watch. There is no rush. I also cannot. I know since we touched on it a little bit, cannot recommend if you can get a copy. Retro Game Master for the Nintendo DS.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about the games yet. The games are something else. They so GameCenter CX is big. So eventually, at some point in like the 6th season, I think it was when they're doing the little documentary on them making the game.
And that's another charming thing. Like they cover how the game was created.
I forgot the name of the company that makes the game. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
I think it was Indie Zero.
Yeah, it's Indie Zero, and it was published in Japan by Namco Bandai and in the US by Xseed. And it's it's if you don't know what Indie Zero is, they're the guys who made NES Remix. And the game itself is a weird prototype of NES Remix, where essentially they made like 4 to 6 brand new retro-styled video games, and then you have to do challenges within those games. And they've done 3 of these. 2 of them were on the DS. 1 of them was on the 3DS, but only one. That first one was the one that's only ever been like brought to the US. The second one's been fan translated.
It's a dang good fan
translation. Which is and it's a shame because that one's like the scope of the second one is huge because they basically made a full Dragon Quest Final Fantasy RPG that takes like actual like a long ass amount of time if you were to beat it.
Yeah, because you have these challenges, and then at the very end of each game, you actually have to go through and beat every game.
Yeah.
So like that RPG, because they have one in the first one, it isn't as long.
Yeah.
But that one in the second one, like that's a full freaking game.
Yeah, it's a full video game,
and it's got like the other thing is like there's so much adoration for classic games that you can see in each of these parody games because they're all based off of actual properties to some extent. So you have these beautifully orchestrated and wonderfully developed games inside of a game. And then to add charm to that, to kind of call back to retro gaming, you can get monthly magazines that you can flip through and find secret hints to beat these games or find secret codes. So that way, if you're having trouble with those games, you can actually put those in and be able to get through certain parts.
It's really charming. It's really fantastic. And except the third one. The third one's not too great.
I haven't touched the third one yet. I haven't heard many good things about it, unfortunately.
I finally got like a Japanese 3DS a couple years ago so I could, hack it and stuff. And I had actually purchased an import copy of the third one, and I was just like, yeah, everything I heard about this not being that great is true.
Yeah, because I also don't remember them covering very much of it on the show.
Yeah.
It just kind of like came and went and was like an afterthought.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, but it's also doubly unfortunate that we can't really enjoy them. I think it's just that because the branding is so bad. Like it takes like because at first you're just kind of like, okay, Retro Game Master, like that's kind of safe, but then you think about it and you're like, no, that doesn't describe this show at all.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I had to make like I think GameCenter CX is not a terrible name, like even for the US. Like it kind of gets the point across. Yeah. I guess if they really wanted to be literal, they could have called it Game Office CX.
Yep.
And it would be the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, because like Retro Game Master, like I kinda, but yeah, I'm with you. Like I think if they were going to localize it, they could at least include the original title and then maybe put a subtitle under it. Like, if they called it GameCenter CX, Arino's Challenge, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Then okay, cool. Now we understand what the purpose of the show is to some extent. But yeah, it's just going through the most basic of descriptions. Like I imagine the table discussion at that was like, guys, we got to bring this game over to the West. What are we going to call it? Retro game? Okay, well that's part of it. Like, well, what's going on with it? Challenge?
Retro game nerd. Oh wait, no, they already did
Yeah,
YouTube.
oh no. Yeah, you guys should definitely check it out. It's definitely worth getting into.
Which then I guess leads into to you, and how I mean, I feel like at some point every like U.S. fan of retro, I almost said retro.
Yeah,
Game
you almost
Master,
called it.
of GameCenter CX has that moment where they're like, yeah, I could probably do that, but I think it's another thing to like actually do it and keep up with it, and you've kept up with it.
Oh God, thank you.
you're how many seasons in now? Like,
we just started our 4th season.
Yeah,
a few months ago.
And of course the format's a bit different because you stream the entirety of the playthrough. You don't chop it down later,
right?
Because you do this all on Twitch and not on YouTube.
Yeah,
and
like I've long wanted to be able to try a full episode that's like a serious nod to GameCenter CX, where we do the full day of filming and see how it goes. But
yeah,
that requires having more people than myself to do.
I remember a few years ago I had an idea for it wasn't meant to be serious. It was meant to be what a actual Americanized GameCenter CX would be, and it was like Arino would be like a spiky haired G4 type host, and he'd be like really awful at Mario Brothers 1. And like the capture would be like this like shitty grainy like composite to HDMI conversion.
That's too brand.
And then the arcade segment would just be like them at a Dave and Buster's.
Oh God, that's something I've been trying to figure out that we can do. But I mean, there's only so many bowling alleys and Neo Geos that you can play.
Yeah, really. You have to have to start scrambling for like barcades and.
Yeah.
I think that was another idea, was that he'd go to a barcade and just get like drunk.
Man, but believe me, like I've been tinkering around with. If season 5 ends up happening, which I'm pretty sure it will, I've been tinkering around with the idea of doing. And I'm sure someone's done it already, but doing a drunk video game history.
Yeah.
So getting people in the industry, either personalities on YouTube or other Twitch streamers to recount famous game stories while drinking, a la Drunk History. But yeah, like going to a barcade would be a lot of fun. Like thankfully in the area that I'm in, on the East Coast, they've been popping up a lot more arcades recently. So It's been good. It's just getting the approval to go and film at these locations has been the really, really tough task. I live really close to a famous arcade here in the Maryland area, and I sent a letter out. I was like, hey, we're very interested in being able to film at your location. We really appreciate what you guys are doing for video game history and excuse me, having this arcade attached to your restaurant, this video game preservation. We'd like to cover this. So long as we'd be allowed to come in with a small crew and be able to film. And the letter I got back was like, we really don't allow that anymore. Somebody told us they were going to come film here, and then they filmed an adult movie, and we don't want that. So it was just
oh my God.
So I was like, can you please explain further on what happened? I need details here. So then the couple times that I've gone to this arcade now, I'm thinking okay, which machine did they do it on? There's a couple pinball machines here. Is it Addams Family or is it Indiana Jones? I need to know for my sanitation concerns here.
Just bring antibiotic wipes.
Yeah. Although that's what kills me about American arcades. Not to get over on too much of a tirade. If anyone's ever had the pleasure of going to Japan, a lot of these arcades that are still around will have disposable wipes at every station. It's a guy's job or lady. It's their job to go to these different cabinets and make sure there's a fresh thing of wet wipes there, so that when you finish, you can wipe everything down and you're good to go. But we don't do that here for some weird reason. I really wish more people did, because I guess I'm OCD about that kind of thing.
My first experience in a Japanese arcade when I went to Japan a couple years ago was I saw a man playing Street Fighter 2 one-handed. Like he had his hand was configured where like his palm was resting on the stick, and his fingers were on the buttons, kind of similar to how Sakurai plays Smash one-handed.
Oh man!
And his live streams.
How?
but the thing is, the reason why he was playing one-handed was because in his other hand, he was smoking like a pack of menthols.
Yup. That's
And
the thing.
it was fucking like magical. Like it was so cool.
Yeah, 'cause I think they had a Jiraga arcade MMO the last time I was over there, and like it was just a bunch of salarymen after work would just be chilling in the arcade one-handed, like either reading magazine, reading reports, and they would just be tapping the buttons with one hand. And it's just like how are you doing this? I'm just not on your level, I guess. Like I'm too weak-minded.
It's very obvious that's like a daily thing. Like it's just something they do every day.
Oh yeah.
And it was wild. It was crazy. And like the difference is like American arcades. Like they're trying because like Round 1 has been coming over. And Round 1 is like cool, but it has all the same problems where like people just love to beat the shit out of these machines.
Yeah.
And so like you go to play Street Fighter and like 2 of the buttons don't work, or like you go to like the Samurai Showdown cabinet and it's on like they have like an LCD screen that's like has the image stretched, or my pet peeve is how they have a Guitar Hero arcade machine but there's like phantom strumming like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It just like it overstrums like mad.
Yeah, you can really tell someone went nuts on the controller, and it's getting a response anytime somebody even slightly moves the controller or picks it up. It'll register a strum. Yeah.
And barcades are cool, but like I don't know, like I mean, not like I'm like I don't like the alcohol, but like because I mean I've done a fair bit of drinking eggnog, but it's one of those things where like I don't know, there's just something about barcades that are like extra seedy about them almost.
Yeah, it's like the atmosphere. I mean, classic arcades in the West were always kind of super seedy because they're notorious for having gangs hang out at them, and it's kind of why they went in decline. But there's just something about the barcade, I guess. On top of
arcades remind me of the Roadhouse from Twin Peaks. Like there's just something off about them.
Yeah, like it doesn't have the same kind of vibe or charm of going to like a full blown arcade.
Yeah.
On top of which, like, not to knock barcade, I like them, but having to pay actual money to play the arcade games as opposed to a couple other arcades have gotten into the model of, hey, you pay per hour and everything's on free play. And I think that has a lot more of an accessible approach to it. So like having to actually clunk in a quarter into barcade, maybe I'm just an old geezer saying that, because I mean 25 cents can, I mean
I prefer it a lot more than the card. The card you have to keep refilling and swiping, and the value never really makes any sense.
Yeah, like there's I'm trying to remember the name of the arcade, but there's one on the Pennsylvania border between Maryland and PA, but you pay like an hour fee, and I think it's like $10.
Yeah,
but it has like 30 plus cabinets, 10 plus pinball machines, and then it has the whole console gaming section as well. And you play whatever you want for an hour, and then if you want to refuel or whatever, like you go back up, you pay another $10, and you're good. But I mean, they've got a lot of really good classic stuff. Like I played original Punch Out, NES arm wrestling there. Turtles Arcade, like they've got some really, really good stuff there. You can very much tell that they are no nonsense when it comes to people treating those machines poorly. Like they really take good care of them. Like, I think the only time I've ever had a problem with a machine was I think Mortal Kombat 2 machine was out, just because like it finally hit its last leg. So long tirade. I wish more people were conscious about how they treated arcade machines.
Yeah,
but,
really. But going back, as I was saying, like I do it's fine because I like talking about arcades. But I do say like I love the commitment. I do think it's like really. I think it is really cool that you do a homage parody of GameCenter CX, and I think you do a good job of it from what I have seen. God. because it is
Oh, man.
it is tough. It is tough to you know, it sounds so dirty, to keep it up.
No. You're fine.
Oh my god.
I mean, like, oh man, this is you're too kind. Like,
Yeah.
I'm among the ranks of Scott the Woz now. What the heck is it? Yeah, like it's I will honestly say this, and this isn't me trying to butter up to you guys or the people that watch. Like, the show only survives because of the people that are involved.
Yeah.
Like half the fun, if not more, has been from people tuning in and supporting just through cheers and being able to keep us going along. Because man, there have been episodes where it's been a nightmare
rough
to try and get through a game. Like,
Yeah.
Here's my PSA for the day: never play King's Knight for the NES. Just don't do it. It's a terrible game, and it is a nightmare and impossible to beat. We couldn't finish it without a game genie. Like, it is, the game is intentionally built to not care about your feelings and to hate you with every bit and fiber of its being. But one of my favorite episodes that we did, we were playing through Donkey Kong, and the idea was that it would be a co-op, so Cinco and I would play it and try to get to the very end. And Donkey Kong Country gave us trouble. And I don't know if this is just because of the parallels with GameCenter CX. That's a game that I've beaten many times.
Yeah.
And not having Cinco's involvement in it, like, I don't think that they affected that. But for some reason, like, I was on 5 or 6 cooling pads, like, just all over my face, like, worn out, exhausted, frustrated. And it happened to be one of my favorite episodes for that reason, of just like how much of a slog it was.
I think, like, a lot of people have the idea that streaming is easy, and like I think the actual notion of it is that I think anyone can play a video game live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that like because people just play video games anyway. Like, there's no difference between that and someone just hooking up a capture card and letting it roll. But it's
do it though.
Wait, what?
Having the charisma to do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. The tough part is having the charisma to keep people engaged.
Yeah.
And it's also not totally dropping your spaghetti while playing. Mm-hmm. Because, like, there are plenty of instances where, you know, I have days where, like, I'll do really good in something like Counter-Strike, or I'll be, like, S-ranking every mission in Yakuza. But the minute I start putting that shit on Twitch, I look like DSP2, you know, I just start looking like a total asshole, and I just have to laugh it off and be like, yeah, I'm not having a good day. Like, it's like a weird, the self-awareness kicks in, especially in something like your case where you have to beat a game to completion. And at that point, it is just a total marathon.
Yeah, there's a reason why the first couple episodes never made it to Twitch. Oh man, I was dropping every noodle of spaghetti with those first couple ones, because I've been working on the show since 2007 and was originally trying to do it in that GameCenter CX format. Yeah. It just never took off the ground. My good buddy Matt Papa, I was living in an apartment with at the time. We were like, yeah, we can do this. Like, let's do like a buddy let's play show. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
And people confused us for a couple, which, like, there's nothing wrong with that. But the tone was not at all what we were trying to go for.
Yeah.
So I kind of scrapped it and put it aside for a number of years. And it wasn't until Cinco was like, you keep talking about you wanting to do something. Why don't you just do it?
Yeah.
Like, Twitch exists. Like, why don't you go and, like, try and stream it? And kind of made myself the promise that, okay, like, if I can stream once, I'll try and stream 2 more times.
Yeah.
And then once I streamed twice, I was like, okay, well, I've done 2 games. Let me go for 8 games. Let's see if we can actually hit that. And then all of a sudden I was doing it week after week. And, you know, like, it hasn't been something easy to keep up with. I'll fully admit the task of trying to keep doing this week in, week out. I somehow got it in my head, I guess, to go along with the GameCenter CX thing, that there needs to be a format, there needs to be segments, like titles, intros, all that stuff. Nobody else seems to really do that on Twitch because it's a terrible idea. But somehow we do it week in, week out. And again, like, not to kiss too many booties, but smooch smooch. Like, it really is like the people that watch. Like, we have a lot of people that support and have kind of become like ADs in their own right and part of the cast of the show.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they're watching or not, but their Twitch handles, Fallout Gamer, Princess Amber, Ambrosia, Tito, like the people that tune in week out that we call squatters to go with the whole apartment motif.
Yeah.
Like they're funnier than I could ever hope to be. So having them there is not only a boost to morale, but man, it makes the show so much better. Like if I was still doing it the way that I was doing it when I first started, where like I had a really crappy webcam and it was just pointed always up my nose because I hadn't really learned what angles were. I would not be where I am today because it was so bad. But I'm like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like that means a lot coming from you guys to hear that because like immediately when we went live and I saw like how the screen looks, I'm like, oh my god, like I can't live up to this. Like, what is this presentation? Like they've got really good logos and character pictures. Like
we got little icons and it's cute.
Yeah, like who designed your Source Gaming icon? He looks like Discoon. Is that's intentional?
Yeah, that is. He's named Source Coon. Yeah.
Yes, that's so good.
Nerbion was the one that designed it, right?
Yeah, it's Nerbion, and then a lot of our other graphics are done by Voyager, and they're very behind the scenes folks, but we appreciate them. They're the ones always doing little thumbnails and the icons and stuff, and we love them.
Hero's not part of the team anymore, but he was also him too as well. And anybody else? Are we missing somebody? I think.
Matt sometimes does things.
Yeah, he does it too with like, especially for his own thumbnails for his own videos.
Yeah,
like he has Ayasobu
to
do the artwork as well.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. So someday if we make it big, if we get the Red
one of
Bull
these days,
we'll have people do stuff. Like I've been looking to try and do collab stuff, and I guess this is a start. So I really appreciate it.
I honestly like because this all started because you were like, ask me anything, and I was just like, let's do something. And and when you asked what, I honestly didn't have an answer. I was like, I'll think of something. But like I'm sure we could do something at MagFest since that is definitely a thing we're doing.
Please.
Yeah.
Yes.
We could play Tony Hawk for an hour on end.
I'm very much in that same situation because we applied for the panel and I did it like joking, like that'd be really fun, like do a panel. Yeah, I'm not expecting anything, and they got back to me and they're like, hey, you're up for panel. I was just like, oh shit, I'll have anything.
Yeah.
What? I just threw something out there. So like if you guys please, like I look forward to any opportunity to work with anybody to spread the love of video games, especially people that are just really solid. So you've been pretty awesome. So
thank you.
This is me like trying to awkwardly give compliments. So
this is where we hug each other over the power of the internet through the tubes that Al Gore invented.
No, like, and it's funny because like I've been following Source Gaming for quite a bit. Just especially on Smash news. Like I wish I was a more dedicated Smash player, but you guys really do have your finger on the pulse of anything Smash related. So
it's okay. Especially it's funny because you're talking to the guy who doesn't play Smash.
Oh jeez.
I'm the one I'm the diversity hire. I'm not the Smash guy.
Oh god.
But no, but like don't feel bad about it because like everyone will still ask me Smash questions and I'm like no, I talk about like Sniper Elite.
They're not paying me to say this, guys.
Yeah.
So this is all coming off the dome here.
But no, it's fine because that's been the case with oh man, should we shout out to us? But like, because that's like that was the thing with Scott the Waz where like he sourced us in like some episodes about like Smash rumors and stuff. And it's that weird thing where you're like, you look up to us, like tell us more,
Yeah. Like, please, should I call you Mr. Waz or Mr. the Scott? Like, can you let us in on that?
Wasn't there like an incident recently on, or was it? I don't know if it's the Shantae creator, the one that was I think where he was talking about the article or the interview with Sakura was talking about the Zero where you have to have the character. What was it? You have to be holding them by the legs. You have to hold them upside down to see if their clothes would fall. And how much is being revealed or whatever. I think it's. I want to say it's the Shantae creator. I don't remember, but the icon looked like his. I'd have to recheck it. But he was basically credited us on his tweet. He was saying thanks to Source Gaming for having the translation of that interview. And I was like, oh wait, you know who we are.
Shout outs to like Push for still sometimes doing things with us, and shout outs to Cody for being the new boy who's really cool. I appreciate you.
So with that said, should we still talk about Smash? Like, I know that's one of the things that's like featured on here.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean, because Terry came out this week. Among a flurry, I guess that'll be our next top. If Spilled Paints is watching, this is where you put in the okay. So Spilled Paints is the guy who does like our timestamps, and
okay.
and he's been doing it recently, and I think that also means that I have to say something goofy, and then he has to make a timestamp of it. So this is your funny moment, Spilled Paints. This is the time code you put down.
Take it and like it.
Shemp. All right, that's it. That's all I got.
What's that? Huh?
Shemp from the Three Stooges.
His last name is my name too.
Yeah, there you go. So yes, Terry came out this week. And so did Sakurai's 45-minute magnum opus about the history of King of Fighters. And I slept through it.
Oh man.
Phantom, you were there.
Yes,
you were hosting it, I believe.
Asia was hosting it.
Oh, it was Asia. See, I slept through it. I didn't know. Source Gaming Funny Moments Volume 1. But yeah, for some reason I was under the impression that it was going to be Thursday morning, but no, it was Wednesday morning. So yeah, I woke up like 10 minutes after it happened. And then they did that. They changed things up where usually the Smash updates come out later in the day, but this week they did it right after the presentation, so you had the entire day to play as Terry. And Phantom, have you played as Terry in Smash?
Yes. I like. It's very mixed on Terry because I love everything about him. He has like a mid-tier character. He has a good kit. The only issue I have is that inputs for him, and I'm not saying like, Let me explain first of all. I'm fine with a character having inputs for like Ken and Ryu. That's fine. For Terry, he's a 2D fighter, so it makes sense for him to also have inputs. Yeah. But it's the fact that he has so many specials. It's that if I can accidentally do another input, when I wasn't intending to do that at all.
Yeah.
So for like, if I'm trying to do Burning Knuckle, sometimes I accidentally get Buster Wolf, and I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to do that one, or I'm like, for like when you're trying to recover for him, it's kind of like you have to be mindful of which way he's turned at that instant, because he's not gonna automatically turn.
Yeah.
Where your opponent is sometimes. So like, there's some instances where I'm trying to recover, and I'll try to shoot towards the stage, but it sends me the complete opposite way. But then there's also sometimes I'll be like, okay, well, whatever. I'm just gonna Burning Knuckle to it. But the thing is that when you do Burning Knuckle, when you're close to the ledge, it doesn't grab it right away. So then you have to wait for the Burning Knuckle animation to end, and then you have to Rising Tackle afterwards. As then sometimes you just won't make it. But in order to do the better Rising Tackle, you have to hold down and then do up for like 20. You have to hold down for like 28 or 24 frames, and then hold upwards. So it's like recovering with him isn't always difficult, but if you're in like a situation where your percentage is high and you really want to get back on stage to try to keep the lead, it's like you're gonna have a bit. But outside of that, I really love playing. Not on stage, but I keep it better on stage. Without
Phantom, your internet's going into the Phantom zone.
No. I'll disconnect and reconnect.
Yeah. Yes. You good?
No.
You good, bud?
Hello. Do I sound better?
A little bit.
Yeah. Can you change the? We are on US East, so like we should be fine because we're all East Coast fellas.
I don't know. It just must be my internet.
It could just be Discord having a fun moment. But Terry's certainly more technical than Ryu and Ken, which it's kind of amazing because like Ken and Ryu almost play like this is a throwback. They almost play like the Capcom v SNK Neo Geo Pocket Color like versions of themselves.
Yeah,
where they're super simplified to fit like a 2-button layout. But like Terry's like a full fighting game character.
Yeah, you can really tell that Sakurai is a huge fan of the King of Fighter and Fatal Fury series just based on how Terry plays.
Yeah, and the love that went into this update too. Like I've seen a couple people in chat and just outside of like Twitter and stuff say like he's my favorite DLC fighter because he's the best represented. Didn't they say something like in the live stream where Sakurai was like, yeah, we submitted like 50 tracks to SNK and we were hoping to get back like 10 to 12 approved, and they just said yes.
Use all of them.
Yeah, they just use all of them. So there's like 50 SNK tracks in there.
Yeah, like he really makes Cloud look really bad. But I mean, like it's something that always makes me wonder when these DLC characters get released, especially with how different Western appreciation is to Eastern. Not saying like one's worse than the other or anything like that, but like Terry is huge in Japan. Like just the impact of Fatal Fury on the fighting game franchise market over there. You know, we really adopted Street Fighter and ran with it, and that was the bar that was set in the West. Whereas King of Fighters consistently, along with other SNK games, like really took the arcades by storm. So to have Terry involved in Smash, like, seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And yeah, like to see that he's getting this much appreciation is such a treat. Just to finally see, after so many years of SNK really not doing well, to finally get the attention that they deserve.
I mean, it's funny because, like, and this is going to sound super kind of like punching down and dismissive, but there, you know, you have these people on Twitter when Terry initially leaked, or just having an SNK character generally leaked, and people were just going on about like they're not relevant, like who fucking cares about SNK? And I'm like, I really have to wonder how young these people are, because even like I would not call myself a big SNK fan. Like I have a Neo Geo CD, I have a Neo Geo Pocket Color, I like Metal Slug, I like Samurai Showdown. But that's really about. I like oh no, I forget the name of it. How could I? The top-down shooter.
Akari Warriors.
No, not Akari Warriors. Though that's pretty banging too. It's similar to Akari Warriors, but it was made during the Neo Geo era. It's like Super Soldier or something. I don't know why. Shock Troopers. Yeah. I can't believe I'm really on my eggnog game today, but turning my brain into jelly. But like, I'm not a crazy big SNK fan, but I'm like, it, like what we were talking about earlier with the GameCenter in CX and US thing. Like, Neo Geo cabinets are in laundromats, and like you cannot go to any arcade setting, whether it be a round one or a barcade, or even like a gaming convention, and not see an SNK machine. Like, they will always be there. Yep. There's so many of them.
They were so cheap and easy to swap out for too.
Yeah,
like, they used more or less the same carts that were for the home console. Like, you bought the carts and you put it into the cabinet, and you were good.
And of course, you know, you have and of course SNK is really popular in Japan, of course, and you also have South American countries where
my God,
where SNK is huge there too.
Yep.
And like I'm really happy to see that the general opinion on Terry has turned around, because I think many people just thought like, oh, they'll drop him in, he'll have a stage, he'll have a few tracks, and you know, Sakurai will talk about him for a bit, you know, whatever. But I think I do have to give props to the Smash community here for actually, like, you know, sitting through Sakurai's 45-minute college lecture about SNK, and like, I think people are like fully realizing like, wow, you know, this is actually pretty special. Like, this is kind of neato. And especially with how much love and attention has been put into this, I think more than any other DLC character, especially more than Joker and Hero, and quite a bit more than Banjo. So
I feel slightly slighted about the Hero. I really wish they had done this kind of thing for Hero, but that's just me.
That's Square. That's Square for you.
I guess. It's just such a shame that like I get why people don't necessarily care for Hero, but man,
I do think
like,
my one disappointment with the DLC pack, because I feel like this should have been the easy peasiest thing to do. Where is my Theo Me Gunner? Like, come, it's so easy, right? So perfect.
Because they still have the licensing to Metal Slug.
Yeah,
right?
there's
like,
Metal Slug music in the Smash DLC pack. Like, they could have so easily have done a Metal Slug Me Gunner, especially Theo, and it would have been fantastic. I would have loved that so much.
Because who did they put up? They put up Nakaruru.
I'd have to look at it. Let's.
I think Joe, or not Joe. The other dude, the yellow haired dude, the blonde haired dude. I can't remember.
Ralph
his name. From Art of Fighting, I think.
Oh, Ryu or Rio.
Yeah, Nakaruru. There was Iori, and it was just those three, and then they brought back the two dudes from Virtua Fighter. Akira and the other dude.
So they didn't do any Gunner outfits for this one.
Nope.
Brawlers.
Dang.
I'm telling you, like they should have done it. It would have been great. It would have been fantastic.
Well, because I remember also seeing like when speculation was first going out for the SNK character choice, like everybody, at least that I was able to see, was like, "Yes, Theo, please, yes, more gunners, please." Like this is the one character from Metal Gear, not Metal Gear, Metal Slug that we're just like, "Yes, this character is so precious and wonderful and a cinnamon roll. Like let's do it." And then I mean, like not that I'm upset about Terry, but it's also like. Yeah, I'm with you. We really could have stood to have some kind of representation as far as a me costume, but
I guess we'll see when Metal Slug 2020 or whatever the hell it's gonna be happens and what they do with that.
I'd totally forgotten about that.
Yeah. Also, wherever the hell that Switch port of King of Fighters 14 went.
Yeah,
that was gonna happen.
Yeah, they announced it. They announced a King of Fighters for Switch. I think everyone thought it was a port of 14, but they also announced a new game, and no one really knows if that's coming over.
That might come over.
And Samurai Showdown's coming out for Switch, but like they haven't announced a US date for it. It's just Japan right now.
They didn't announce a US date, but they said winter.
Yeah.
They said winter.
So that could be sometime next year. Oh, this year?
No, they said winter this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll probably just end up importing it anyway.
The demo that they had at PAX was fantastic.
I've heard good things.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I have a friend who did not expect to love Samurai Showdown, and now he loves Samurai Showdown. Because he's a big like difficulty freak. He loves uber
That's the game.
hard
That's
games.
the game to go for.
And like Samurai Showdown's really hard because it's one of the only fighting games where the NPCs like actually learn what you're doing, and try to counter it.
True.
So like watching him play the original Samurai Showdown on like a Neo Geo CD was magical because it's like that's a gauntlet of a video game.
That's putting it lightly too. Like, the game is notoriously difficult. We will probably never play that on the show.
Oh my god, yeah.
So I was also going to ask you guys: did either of you take advantage of the hamster sale that they had going on? Which is probably the worst description of saying that the
the ACA Arcade Archives.
Yes, that's what I meant to say.
I actually have most of those games that went on sale. I think I did buy Fatal Fury Special, even though I think that's one of the games I do own on my Neo Geo CD. There's so many of them that it's like it's hard to be like, do I have 95 or 96? Like it's real tough. But
they're pretty solid ports.
Yeah,
I've
they
been
are.
liking them a lot.
Oh my bad. Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
Didn't they also announce that they were doing several things? They announced that they were doing like a Samurai Showdown Legacy collection, like in the same vein
they also
of Street Fighter.
I think they were also doing anthologies of Samurai Showdown and Metal Slug, which about time. And of course,
seriously.
Windjammers 2 is happening.
I can't wait to see that.
Thanks, Fangamer. The game really does deserve all the love that it gets. It is a very, very fun game.
When was it for? I didn't know much about Fatal Fury. I knew who Terry Bogard was, and I knew about King of Fighters. But like for Maximilian dude, if you know who he is, the big fighting game YouTuber. I watch him, and he's doing like a whole Terry Legacy thing, where because since Terry got announced for Smash Bros, he's playing like all the SNK games where Terry is in it.
He's in so many.
Yeah, and I was watching him play it, and I was like, wow, I kind of want to try out a Fatal Fury game. And at my local hobby store, they had the Fatal Fury Battle Archives Volume 1 for PlayStation 2 with Fatal Fury 1, 2, Special, and 3. So nice. I have it now, and I'm like, I'm gonna play it, and it's like that. I think stuff like that, like with Sakurai doing the whole like 45-minute history, and like you have people like Maximilian dude who like wants to show like these love of fighting games that, and it made me want to play it too. I was like stuff like that. I love like people do that stuff like to show dedication to like that series. That many people know about, like with Guilty Gear as well.
Yeah,
for a long time. I mean, like the cynical write-off for SNK is that they're this like company that like, I mean, they've been making games forever, but they really started getting their footing when they did a crappy knockoff of Street Fighter 2 called World Heroes, and that is not a good game. And but like the thing is about SNK is that for the longest time, and I do mean the longest time, from like early 90s to early 2000s, like they were just pumping out like high production value pixel art game after game after game, and the output was incredible. And I mean, there's a few, you know, not too great ones. There's that space fighting game that's not.
Oh yeah,
that's real rough.
Some of their sports games aren't also the best.
With the exception of NeoTurf Masters, that's, you know, that's the Kino. But like, like all of their stuff from people are mentioning Garou Mark of the Wolves, of fucking masterpiece.
Oh man,
masterpiece.
Still to this day, like, some of the most gorgeous sprite work that I've seen, and that like I'm holding that to the standard of things like Symphony of the Night and games like Shovel Knight. That it looks timeless, and it plays incredibly well. Metal
Slug and Fatal Fury and King of Fighters and Nom 1975 and Shock Troopers and just like Waku Waku 7 and King of the Monsters. There's so many just bangers in their library. They've just been like a one-man team, like just this one company pumping out all this stuff crazy for years on their own hardware that they self-published and self-produced for a ridiculously high price, but that's because you were literally buying arcade JAMA boards.
Yeah, and that should say something, because I don't really recall or know of any other company that's been able to do that. Like, Nintendo to a degree, but a lot of the time their software is developed by a different company, and then they'll publish it. But SNK, like it's all home team. And I'd also say that, barring a couple other Golden Age companies, I think they're the most consistent as far as quality.
Yes.
Like obviously there are games, like we were mentioning, that have not really hit or struck such a chord. But if you look at the entire library of their games, they definitely hit the mark with a greater percentage than most other companies. Like,
man, I think even that Double Dragon movie fighting game is like pretty slick. Like it's pretty good.
I think the only other company that would come close is classic Konami.
Yeah,
like of just having consistently really, really good quality games, and just like a complete package too. Like, I mean, some of the most memorable gaming tracks, and I think it's a crime that we really haven't appreciated them as much in the West. But God, like play the soundtrack for things like not Bubble Bobble. What do they call it? Bust a Move.
Yeah, Bust a Move.
For the Neo Geo, like some of those soundtracks are really, really crisp and a lot of fun. The King of Fighters games have some of the best music and fighting games for a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, just all in all, this is the Let's Praise SNK podcast.
Yeah, it really is.
They do very, very good stuff,
and their hardware is phenomenal too. Like, the build quality of the Neo Geos themselves and the controllers, and even like the Neo Geo Pocket Color is amazing.
Yeah, they're durable little handhelds.
That thing has a micro switch little nubbin for control, which feels amazing, and it has a 75 hertz screen, so everything just looks crisp and like fluid as hell.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I I was very lucky enough to work at GameStop at the time of that being released over here in the West.
Yeah, where they put in the little blister pack with like...
Oh, man.
With like Sonic, yeah.
Kicking myself for not getting one, but I had coworkers that had them, and the times that I would witness somebody dropping those things and they would survive, like it became a challenge that like we would bet actual money on. Like my two coworkers, I'd be like, all right, like it's gonna break this time. Like the next time you drop it is when it breaks. And like I was always having to pay out of pocket for it. Like they are durable little handhelds.
I think the closest experience I've had to something like that was I bought a GameCube off of someone for like $15, and
oh
like
my God.
Literally, well, because this was recent, and like on like on the way walking it over to me, they like stumbled and dropped it. But it's a GameCube, so like nothing happened, and they were like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "It's fine. It's a GameCube. Like it'll live. It'll live to see another day." Like
there will be 4 things that will survive the nuclear apocalypse: 1, diesel engines; 2, cockroaches; the other 2, Neo Geo Pocket and the GameCube.
And the GameCube. Yeah.
Like they put the handlebar on there, knowing that you were going to carry it and drop it.
Yeah. Oh man, so I guess that's Terry in Smash. He's really fun to play. There's a lot of love put into him, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be cool.
Like I can't remember if you guys have ever translated any of the Famitsu articles that Sakurai has written.
Yes.
Yeah, because like he's done a couple on the King of Fighters games.
Yep.
That are totally worth the read. Like you can really tell that he's a huge fan.
Yeah.
So I guess this is also us trying to say, like, go back and play some of those games. Like, a few of them have aged pretty decently.
I do actually kind of wonder what this means for the future of fighters in Smash, because I think kind of famously, one of the planned characters for Wii U and 3DS was Heihachi from Tekken.
Yeah.
And I believe Sakurai's quote was, he did not feel comfortable putting a character that already had like a moveset into Smash.
Ha ha ha.
Because of the idea of him just being like, well, then we're just copying over a fighting game character to Smash Brothers. But that's also the game that had Ryu as DLC. And then we have Ken in Ultimate and Terry now as DLC, and I mean I guess that means he's changed his mind, but I'm wondering if something had to click or something to have him figure out how to properly simplify all these movesets and bring them over, or if he just went like he just bored him. Yeah.
I think it's more of the iconicness, because like if you're gonna put any fighting game character in, it should be at least Ryu before Heihachi. I would think. And like for because of Egos and Ultimate, then you kind of either have to put in one of the other Shotos from Street Fighter, and I mean most importantly, which would be Ken, because he's also like the icon from Street Fighter.
I am wondering
for Terry, it's like. Oh, I mean, like how they were saying in the what's it called, the presentation that Fatal Fury and Street Fighter 2 came out like the exact same year, so it's kind of like it has that legacy as well.
I'm wondering if we might see Heihachi as a post Fighter Pass DLC character. I'm wondering if his chances have now skyrocketed.
Yeah, because I'm also trying to think. Like, I'm not too big on the Tekken series. I'm trying to think of other flagship characters that have been as iconic as Heihachi. Like, I mean, he was always at the forefront of any of those crossover games.
Yeah,
and they have such a good relationship with Bandai Namco right now. Considering like Pac-Man, and then Bandai Namco like helping a lot with the development process. I don't think Heihachi's out of the question.
Yeah.
But I'm also wondering if they might. Other fan favorites of the series, like I remember there being a really big community for Asuka, who's like Jin's cousin or whatever. She's like the big female lead from Tekken 5 and 4. Or what's the android girl's name that everyone on Twitter is just like super thirsty for?
2B from Nier Automata, or
2B I could see. But no. She's like a Tekken character. I think she's like an android or a cyborg or something like that. But she's like super eliteed out, and like everybody loves her, and so she's got a really good moveset.
The blonde-haired girl.
Yeah. I just can't.
I don't remember her name.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
well.
I don't remember her name. I think the weird thing about it is that like for Ryu announced in Smash 4 the Heihachi costume.
Yeah.
And it would make sense for like Heihachi and to move to Ultimate. The Heihachi costume isn't out. He's in it. And I don't think that this credits him being there, but he's in Pac-Man's taunt.
Yeah.
And that's, well, at this point, am I crapping out?
Yeah, you're going into the Phantom Zone again.
Hold on.
Maybe I should changing Discord little servers. I don't know if that'll make it worse or better. Let's find out.
Sometimes better.
Let's find out. Let's see.
Real time. Let's do this.
Yeah, I changed it. Hello.
I did accidentally press quit. So I don't know if I randomly die, you know what happened. But
well, it's sounding a bit more stable now. So
yeah.
Okay. So the weird thing is at the end. Oh my god!
I don't Let's switch it over again. Let's just find it.
This is the danger of live productions.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm like flicking little switches on the mock switchboard I have.
All right. So I think it's a bit strange that at the end of Terry, this is Me Fighter Round 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's no Heihachi, and in my head I was thinking, okay, well maybe it's because they're just trying to do the 2D fighters, and it's like, wait a minute. Virtual Fighters are 3D or it's like a 3D fighting game.
Yep.
Right.
So it's like, why wouldn't you put in Heihachi? And it's like at this point, it's like maybe they will add Heihachi as a character, but it's also like, if you don't have the Mii costume, you have him as a taunt. Why not just add the Mii costume if he's not going to be in? And if he is going to be a fighter, it's like we're going to have another fighting game character. I feel like.
By the way, we've been corrected. The android is Alyssa, and
she's got pink hair.
Yeah, and the blonde is Lily. Yeah.
Okay. I wonder how much of the decision to put Heihachi in has to do with the person who did his voice, like his voice actor or seiyuu, had passed away not too long ago. So that's like a real big thing with a lot of Japanese productions is that they pay the utmost respect to characters and properties, especially if they're voiced by somebody that has passed. Like it's happened with a couple characters on One Piece, and very, very few and far between do they hard sell on a replacement for that. Like I think the only outstanding properties where they have replaced voices like that are for super big legacy characters. Like Lupin the Third always has like new cast because the people that do their voices have like long died since the 70s. So I don't know if they might be keeping Heihachi for that reason, or that might be a factor of it.
Possible.
Yeah,
I thought it was like, with the new anime premiere, I was like, wait, why does Professor Oak sound weird? And I was like, oh wait, that's right, his voice actor passed away.
Yeah.
And then Bulma's voice actor also passed away recently, so it's like for characters like that, it's kind of like, yeah, you have to. These are characters that are gonna stay in the series. You kind of have to replace a voice actor. But for like Tekken 7 right now, it's like, well, Tekken 7 is already a game that's out, and it's like before the actor had passed away. So it's like right now, it's like what's gonna if Tekken 8 ever does happen, or how many years later happens, what's gonna be the case for Heihachi? Because I don't know what the story of Tekken is like. So I don't know if he dies in the story. I don't actually know. But
I know Antonio stated in the chat, more than likely what they do is they'd archive the audio or pull from the archive. Which I think Sakurai said that they did for Terry. Like they pulled
they
audio
got from the newer games and the older games.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I think it'd be really good to have Heihachi, just because I don't think Tekken's ever been represented in the series for that much. Like we had like some costumes for Wii U and 3DS, didn't we?
Just the Heihachi one, I think that was
okay. Yeah. So, because that's the other thing is that it always kills me when people are talking about Smash on Twitter. Is they're like, "Oh man, I want Gino as a playable character." Like, I get it, but Sakurai has gone on record as saying that, and I'm pretty sure it's still the case with future DLC characters. They won't be from something that's already been represented in the series thus far. Correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I'd like to see those characters too. But so with that said, like I wonder if Heihachi's been a DLC costume, would they put him in or somebody else? You know, yeah. I'd also be more inclined. Yeah, like Garudo's saying it in the chat here. Soul Calibur has been a lot more present within recent years, so I wonder if they might put somebody in from Soul Calibur over Tekken. So we might get like a Mitsurugi or a oh gosh, what's his name that does the nunchucks? Man, I'm blanking.
I don't know.
Maxim or something like that.
I know Voyager was saying that he wanted what's the dude's name? The dude that has the actual soul sword or whatever it's called.
Nightmare.
Yeah, I think that was who it was.
Nightmare would be a fantastic addition, I think. Like he would. Maxi is the guy's name. Thank you, Gerudo.
They should put my favorite Soul Calibur, which is Link. I don't know why he hasn't been in subsequent games.
Right? Yeah. What the heck?
Soul Calibur on Switch is what I'm wondering. Just put it on Switch.
So yeah, there's a lot of possibility. Like it's funny over in the Discord that I help run for the show. A lot of kids have been talking about, characters that have been mentioned in the past that were supposed to make it in. So I've been holding tight to the expectation, foolishly, that they're going to put in Ayumi Tachibana from how do I say it? Famicom Tante Club, which is getting a remake later, either this year or I think in next. And it's been a character that Sakurai in the past has said, yes, we really wanted to put them in, but we weren't sure about how Western reception would go. And now that Sakurai on record has said, like, it's not about relevance, it's about, will the character be fun?
Yeah.
I'm wondering how good of a character she would be. So like I'm wondering if she'd be fun at all. But like I'm speculating that they would put her in, because I know that she's been a long time one that Sakurai's wanted to put in. But I'm also just trying to think of like other big properties that have been foundational to video gaming and Nintendo's history as a whole. And like I think the only other property that hasn't been represented for Smash has been most of like Hudson Soft stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm an idiot and would love to see somebody like Master Higgins or Takahashi Meijin, as he's known in Japan, as grass skirt skateboarding, hip 80s button mashing expert, be a Smash character. But that would be incredibly stupid and terrible. But I also saw some people saying that like Bonk might be in the running, which I think would be interesting.
That'd be cute.
Like,
that'd be cute.
Yeah,
Bonk. He's a little baby caveman man.
Yeah, he does, like his whole attack base is that he jumps
smacks
up in the
people
air.
in his head.
Yeah, like if you took Krillin from Dragon Ball and mixed him with Barney from the Flintstones, you would get Bonk. Like but he was for a long time mascot character for
Hudson and the TurboGrafx.
Because their Johnny Turbo mascot was not doing so hot over here.
It's so weird they brought back Johnny Turbo for like
right
this like bootleg arcade archives thing on Switch. It's so bizarre. We are getting close to the 2-hour mark, which is where we usually cut things off. So I guess for the last 10 minutes or so, I will be talking about a game I've been playing for the last couple of days, which is the highly anticipated. Is not the word, but people have been waiting on this game with bated breath. Just like, what the hell is this thing? And that game is Death Stranding.
God, I feel like this is the game that we really should spend most of the time talking about.
Well,
I'm so sorry.
No, it is fine, because like I don't think Phantom's definitely not played it.
Oh yeah, I have no.
Yeah,
I've been purposely waiting for things to kind of die down a little bit so that I can come in fresh.
It is definitely one of the. It's. I think I said it on Twitter. It's a weird game, but not in the sense that the game itself is weird. I think it's just the expectations for this game were all over the place.
Yeah,
people really like, because everyone was just like, oh, it's gonna be Phantom Pain 2, or it's people that thought it was going to be like just this like pretentious up its own ass walking sim.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like the way I played this game, I picked it up early in the day on Friday, but I waited till like 7 p.m. so I could have like some friends over and we could all like experience it together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we played about like 4 or 5 hours of it, and we were kind of like amused that by the end of it we were like, oh, this is really straightforward and simple. Like it wasn't as like because people have that idea that Kojima is like this master ruseman who loves to, you know, completely blind the player with crazy shit, and like the gameplay was going to be like some weird, you know, unique, like deep psychological avant-garde experimental thing.
Mm-hmm.
But no, what it is a I mean, I'm not too far into it. I'm like a few chapters in, but it's a relatively engaging stealth action, like a stealth survival sim with a story that still has all of the weird shit you see in the trailers, but like perfectly explained.
Okay.
Like, of course, it's still a game where a mailman with a baby on his chest has to sneak around demons and reconnect the U.S., which sounds fucking bonkers. But it's also, like... Yeah, it's also one of those things where, like, no, it's like, oh yeah, the baby you have on your chest allows you to detect demons. And you're like, that sounds insane, but whatever, within the rules of the world, at least they explained what it does.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be weird if they didn't.
Like, I keep hearing all these mixed things about it. Like, I think it's the most divisive game that I've heard about in recent years.
Yeah, it's very polarizing right now.
Because I had people describe it to me as like, hey, Dan, you really like Yoshi's Island, right? And I'm like, yeah, I really love Yoshi's Island. I was like, we should play Death Stranding. I was like,
what?
Like, it was like, yeah, because there's a baby that cries, and it was like, that doesn't describe the game at all. Like,
it's like I think the reason why it's so polarizing is because I think people were really expecting like an open world third person shooter. I think people were just straight up expecting a Phantom Pain sequel.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's just what it is, because like when I try to talk to people and they're like, yeah, it's a walking sim, I'm like, the only thing it doesn't have is, like, guns. That doesn't mean, like, you're not... Like, the game has mechanics. Like, you are constantly micromanaging and like, even the way you move throughout the world, like, the more stuff Norman Reedus has on his back, like, and, like, the heavier his load is, like, the more you have to, like... You use the triggers to, like, grip onto the straps of his backpack, so when he's going up, like, slopes or coming down slopes, like, he can balance himself properly, or else he'll, like, lose his footing and stumble, or, like... You know how when you're, like, carrying something heavy and you're walking down something, there's, like, sometimes you feel like you can't stop walking because, like, oh, it's so heavy and I don't want this to fall? Like, that happens in this game. And it's really engaging, and it's really neato. But on the other half of that, there are stealth elements, because there are monsters, there are bad guys, and you do have to kind of sneak your way around them, but you can't, you know, there's no, like, gun to just pop, they're dead. Like, you have to, you know, there's moments where you have to hold your breath, or you gotta throw, you know, grenades as, like, a little distraction and stuff like that.
I thought she was gonna say throw the baby.
Yeah. No, use the oh, if you trip and you, like, upset the baby, you have to, like, soothe it, and, like, baby noises come out of the controller.
Oh my god.
And it's like, yeah, like, someone mentioned that, like, it sounds absolutely great and fun, and honestly, like, I think the only thing against this game is people just having this expectation because of the Konami drama and Silent Hills and how unfinished Phantom Pain is, and the marketing that was trying to really hype this thing up as being like a AAA avant-garde experience, when no, it's just Kojima making a new video game. And it's like, if I met someone who liked video games and they had no context of any of this of who Kojima is and any of the drama, and they were like, I heard Death Stranding came out, I own a PS4, should I buy it? I'd go, yeah, it's a good time. It's a very interesting and like unique game. I mean, I think it, as I said before, I'm not too deep into it, so of course there's always like, how will this hold up? And I will say that as of right now, I am getting a little bit tired of the story because it's not really as, at least in these opening hours, it's not nearly as deep or like dragged out as one would think it is, because it's
not so
very
engaging.
It's very straightforward. Like it really is just like, yup, you got to do this thing, Sam, and then he goes, okay. Like it's not like there's like any master revelations or anything. Maybe that changes, though I've heard it doesn't. But we'll see. But right now, from a gameplay standpoint, I'll like it.
Nice. Yeah, like I'm not really too keen on like people calling it like a walking simulator, because honestly, any open world game would just be called that.
It's not. It's not like Gone Home. Like there's stuff to do. Like it's, if anything, like it really is a survival game. Like because you're constantly, adjusting your footing, but you're also like you have to watch out. Like your shoes. Like your shoes have a health bar. Because the more you walk, especially with like the heavier the load, like your shoes degrade. So you have to make sure you have extra pairs of boots on your suit that you can swap out on the fly if they get too damaged, or else your feet get all like bloody and fucked up.
Man, that's crazy. I mean, like, and that makes sense. Like a lot of Kojima's foundational stuff, or at least stuff that he was inspired by, some of that. Mid to late 80s PC 1108 or whatever the Japanese computer game console was called. So like things like Hide and those really old JRPGs, like very first generation of those things.
There's a canteen that you have to drink to keep up your stamina, not just to restore it, but like your stamina level will go down the longer you're carrying like a super heavy amount of stuff. So you gotta drink your canteen, which, going back into the weird shit, it is a automatically refilling canteen whenever it rains or you walk into a river, and for some reason it is not water, it converts the water into Monster Energy drink, complete with branding.
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding. And when you go into like a little private resting room, there are cans of Monster Energy drink on a table, and they're perfectly rendered. You can read the nutrition facts and like the flavor text on the back of the can.
I mean, Final Fantasy 15 did that, and it felt very, very shoehorned in. Like,
in cup noodles.
Like, I haven't seen anything about that with Death Stranding, so like I don't know if I'd be too terribly upset about it. Like if it's done well, okay, cool.
Here, let me. I'll put a picture in chat, and I'll put a picture on the screen. So this is an actual screenshot from the video game.
That's incredible.
I am not like this is real life.
Wow.
It looks like an edit.
Yeah, it does, but because it's perfectly rendered.
Yeesh. But yeah, like it makes sense that Kojima put in those kind of game mechanics, because that's like the kind of games that he played and got really involved in when he first started playing video games. So
yeah.
But man, like that's see if it's done well like that, I'm cool. But if it's like, hey everybody, did we bring out our Coleman camping equipment? Like, go to hell, Final Fantasy.
There's also when he goes to the turlet, when he poops, there's like a weird sign on the bathroom that's like that says like Ride the Wave starring Norman Reedus on AMC, and you're like, what the like a real AMC logo is right there.
Get that funding as best you can to recuperate from all the technology that you pour into this game.
This is the new Calorie Mate and like Doritos and Axe body spray like in Metal Gear.
Yeah. God, I'd forgotten about the Calorie Mates. Jeez.
Yeah. Oh man, it's really cute. It's really like I'm honestly having a good time, and I'm
good.
I'm excited to play more. Honestly, it's real neato.
I got to get through Luigi's Mansion and a bunch of other stuff.
It's so good. It is so good. Luigi's Mansion is 3 is fantastic.
I'm having a very good time with it. I feel really bad because I put aside 3 houses and like 3 or 4 other games that I've been meaning to get through, just to finish out Luigi's Mansion 3, and I do not regret it.
We should play the multiplayer sometime, Scarescraper.
Oh, heck yeah.
Because
I haven't tapped into that yet.
We streamed it about a week ago, and holy shit, like, it is so fun. We were completely floored by how fun it was.
Oh, that's good to know. Like, cause I know that was a big selling point for the game, because they really wanted to try and get some kind of multiplayer aspect into it. So, very, very good to hear.
And with that, we have come to the end of the show. I gotta go shower and do my other daily duties today. But I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. Special thanks to Dan, and links in the description below to both his Twitch and his Twitter, so you can find him there and keep up with his stuff. Go follow him. Go do all that cool things that people do on the internet. Thanks to Phantom for joining me and helping me through my crippling eggnog addiction relapse. And special thanks for me for getting through this episode with an eggnog relapse. And links down below to our Patreon. Please support us. It'd be really cool. Our Twitters are down below. I got to update it with Phantoms, and we will throw a Discord invite down there as well.
Sweet.
And
seriously, thank you guys so much for having me on. Like, please let me know anytime that you guys want to do this. This was a lot of fun.
Sure thing.
Oh, yeah.
It was a good time, and we loved having you on.
So heck yeah.
Until next time, have a good day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.